This conference will now be recorded.
426 Satyavati, can you hear me? Okay.
I will inform, sir. Sorted.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about. Fine. Let's go ahead our present class. Okay. So if you not attend my previous class, you don't worry. I can start from again from the first class onwards from the SQL. Okay. So guys, this particular time I would like to go for explain about database technologies. Okay. So we'll go for understanding the different databases, and from that one we are work with SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server actually. Before that one, this particular class or this particular module, it's a purely dedicated for database. Okay, a database coding or database language or database technology. You can say that it's a database technology. Okay. See, in a data science, database technology or database is playing the crucial role. Okay, in database. So guys, Tirupatama is waiting for class. Can you inform to her as well? Okay. In a data science, database module is very important. So that we should concentrate on database as well. Okay. So fine. You don't know where to start and how to start and what is database and what is the use of the database and which areas we are using. Okay. And so what is the purpose of the database and what are the type of databases are there, so you might having some kind of confusions over there, right? So you don't worry about that one. I would like to clear each and every information, and including practical scenarios we will work with database. Okay, fine. Are you following my points or not? If not, please let me know. See guys, I'm not talking much information. I'm just talking about the database technology irrespective of the database. You can go with Oracle database, you can go with MySQL database, you can go with MongoDB, you can go with IBM DB2. Different database technologies are there. Okay, but you don't need to work with this all. You should concentrate on any one of it. That's fair enough. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, tell me. Okay, first, this particular session, I am concentrating on the database. Okay. So if you want to understood the database, if you want to understand the database, my first question is, what is data? What is data? Okay. And then what is database? First, we should understand the what is data. Then we can go for understand the what is database, and what are the database servers are there in a real world. Okay, what are the databases we have it, and if you want to communicate with the database, okay, we should go for understanding the DBMS, database management system. One more time, what is DBMS? What is DBMS? What are the DB? One more time. What is data model? Okay, these are the things we need to work with this particular class. One more time, guys, the agenda of this particular class is we should go for understand the data. What is data? What is database? What are the databases we have it? What is database management system? And what is data model, or what are the database models we have it? Is it clear? Is this clear, my point?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think from this all, we already discussed some more information in my previous class, right? But even though, let's go for understand one more time, but without any breaks, we will conclude the database technology, this or this couple of weeks. So let's go for understand the what is data. Can anyone share me information? What is data?
Information.
What is data, guys?
Collection of information.
So data means what? I'm not asking about a database. I'm asking about data. What is data?
Meaningful information. Data is type of information.
Yeah. Data means it could be information, right? Data means it could be information. A piece of information, it having some proper meaning. Yes or no? For example, I can tell you a small information. Student ID is 426. Okay. See, this is the 426 is the data which is talking about the one of the student ID. Instead of giving this information, if I just give just a 426, what you should understood, whether it is your intermediate score, whether it is your roll number, whether it is your okay. So it's just number, but it's not information. The number, it having some meaningful information, meaningful data, or meaningful information, that we are calling it say data actually. I hope you're clear, right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This kind of data, so this kind of data in a daily ways, lots of data is generated. Let me take it a small example. Let me take it a small example, guys. I think everyone know about YouTube, right? Everyone know about YouTube or not? In YouTube, in a daily, how many videos can upload? Is it data or not? For example, if you're uploading a specific video, that video which is having some information or not? It's information or not? If you upload a small information, if you upload a small video in a YouTube channel or any one of the YouTube channel, then that could be the data or not? The data which is stored in YouTube channel, the data which is stored in a Google. For example, so lack of people, they are created their own Facebook accounts and they're using, okay, they're using their Facebook, right? So guys, can you hear me my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Let me take it a small example of Facebook. So if you're using the Facebook in a daily, you're uploading, maybe in a daily, if you're uploading some kind of posts, right? Or else you might be receiving some kind of messages from your friends, right? So this is the data or not? Okay. This kind of data, where it could be stored? Where it could be stored? Is it stored in your mobile phone? Is it stored in your laptop? Tell me, guys,
Maybe
where
in
the data is
server,
stored.
Facebook server.
Yes. See, when you are working with one particular application, let me consider in a real-time scenario, I'm talking about it. If we have one particular application, this application, maybe it could be generate the data. Okay, maybe it could be generate the data, or else maybe this application can need the data. It can need the data, or it can be generate the data. But this data, where it could be stored? Where it could be stored? So the data, it could be stored in a storage devices. In a storage devices. For example, if you are using the local computer, okay, so that particular situation, you might have the hard disk. You might have the hard disk, right? So maybe you have a hard disk, enough hard disk, so that you can able to store some information. But the hard disk, it could be, for example, let's say 512 GB only. So in your local computer, you can store only 512 GB. And moreover, this data you can only see. It's only personal data. It's just a personal data. It's not our public data. It's a personal data. Okay. But so the data, if you're storing in a local system in XML file, okay, or else you can store in a JSON file, or else we can store in a CSV file format. Okay, in a different file format we can store in our local computer. But thing is that the local computer is only for your personal usage, not for others people can use for your application. Okay, whatever the application you implemented, and it can be generate the data, it can be need the data, but you are working in only your PC, that particular situation. So your friends or else your neighbors cannot able to access your data. Okay, so that is not a good thing to practice application developing in your local PC. That's the only development stage. But thing is that when it is go for the production, so in a real time, lot of data can be generated. Lot of data can be generated. But where that particular data can be stored? Where that particular data can be stored? See, the applications in real time, there are some servers are there. Okay, or else there could be some cloud. There could be some cloud. So this servers or cloud, it is having the some database internally. Okay, maybe the server having the database, as well as the cloud also maybe have the some databases. See, whatever the application which is generated, the data will be storing into this particular database only. Even in a cloud, your application which is deployed in the cloud, maybe this application can be generated some information, or else this application maybe needs some information, that data which is stored into this particular databases only. Okay, basically these databases are available at server side, not client side. Okay, not user side. Whatever the databases we have it, the databases we need to install on your servers, the databases we need to install on your cloud premises. What is my point? If you install the database in your local computer, you can use only for your personal purpose. But thing is that when you are created application in real time, let me consider this is me, or this is a person or developer. Okay, he is the developer. He just created an application in his own laptop. Okay, but this application need to be used by the multiple users. That particular scenario, this application you need to deploy. We need to deploy in the cloud, or else you need to deploy in the servers. Okay, either we need to deploy this application, we need to deploy in the cloud, or else either we need to deploy in the servers. For example, you are deployed. When you deployed in this particular cloud, the cloud will give you some kind of premises for you. The reason is that this is the developer, he might be buy some piece of space in this particular cloud, or else this developer, he might be buy some kind of data storage in his server. Okay, for example, this deployment stage, you might have some kind of DB. So maybe the databases are different kind of databases are there. Maybe this developer is created application related to maybe Oracle. So whatever the data the application is generated, the application can be stored into the Oracle database only. That particular situation, you need to deploy this particular application. Okay, Oracle related Oracle supported database cloud, Oracle supported server. Okay, maybe the developer he's implemented the application, and the application can be generate some information. That information can be stored maybe in MySQL. Maybe he created the application for storing the data in a MySQL server. Okay, that particular situation, you have two premises. We need to buy the premises related to MySQL database. Okay, maybe IBM DB2. So like this we have a multiple database servers are there. This database servers you need to install on your servers premises, on your cloud premises, not in your local computer in real time. Okay, if you for practicing purpose we can able to install this particular Oracle, MySQL, IBM2 or else different kind of database servers we can able to install in your local computer. But in real time your computer is something like your cloud. Okay, in this particular cloud, so it can be occupy some kind of, it can be have some kind of database. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So as of now, I'm not explain what is database, guys. How the database, how the database can work in real time, that was explained. Okay. See, database means it's a very simple thing. It's a storage device. It is what? It's a storage device. But what it can store? It can collect some kind of information, collection of information, and stored in databases, and it could be managed, it could be manageable, and it could be maintainable in a proper way. Okay, and you can store the data instead of the database. We can store in a XML file, we can store the data in a different file format. But thing is that when you are storing the data in a databases, the data it can be stored in a structural format. Basically the data it could be having in a three ways. Okay, the data can be structured data, the data it can be structured data, the data it can be unstructured data. Okay, the data it could be semi-structured data. Okay, so when we are using the databases, the data it can be stored in a format of structured data. So it could be easy to manage the data. If the data is unstructured or semi-structured, it could be it could be very complicated to manage the data. Okay, high complexity, high risk to maintain it. Okay, but it's easy to maintain. Easy to maintain when the data is, it's a structure format. Actually the database is a concept where the data it can be stored in a structural format. Okay, see, in a real time there are different kind of databases are there. In real time there could be different kind of database technologies are there. Let me take you one small example, guys. Database is nothing but it's a device, or it's a storage device. It's a storage device, it could be a database. Okay, see, it's just a storage, it's not doing any kind of operations, it's just a storage device, that's it. But this is me, let me consider this is me. How I have some piece of data, I have this data, how should I store it into this particular database? Is it directly possible? This is me, I want to store this particular data into this particular database. How should I do that? How should I do that? Tell me, how should I do that? So direct storing is not possible. That particular situation here, this is my database. It could be available in a server side, it could be available in server side. Okay, this is the user. Okay, this is user, or else client, as client. This is client and this is server. In a server side you have the database, and the client side we have the persons. And the client side he generated some information. This particular data I want to store into this particular server. It's direct storing is not possible. For that particular situation, we have a internal software is there. This is the software you need to install at client side. You need to install in client side. Are you getting my point? That software we are calling it's a DBMS, database management system. So this is the database management system. This is the software you should install in a client side. This is the database is a server. This should be installed at server side. Are you getting my point? So from the client side, he given the data to this particular database management system software. This software will handle this particular database. Even if you want to retrieve any data from this particular database, from this particular database management system, we can able to retrieve the data from this particular client side. Guys, are you following my point?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm trying to tell you, you need to understood here two sides, server side. Okay, one is the client side. Okay, maybe I have the two clients are there, client 1, client 2, and client 3. That you can say that it's a developer 1 or developer 2 or developer 3. Okay, so I have the three clients are there. I have the server side, I have the same database, I have the database. Okay, I have a database. Actually, the client want to communicating to this particular server, as you can do that. Meanwhile, the client 2 also can communicating this particular database. Even the client 3 also can be communicate to this particular database. See, you are installed only one database at one server side, but you are installed a piece of software that is DBMS. You should install in client 1. Meanwhile, you should install in client 2. Meanwhile, you should install the DBMS in client 3. Okay, you are a single server, that is my database, but I have the three clients are there. These three clients want to be communicating with the same database, that it is possible. Okay, how? Here I have a software. The software you should install in a client side, and you should know the information about the server and where this particular database is available, the server IP address and the server port number and server password. Okay, this information, this particular client, if you know it, then from this particular database management system, you can able to communicating with this particular database. Meanwhile, the client to also know the information about this particular database. Then from this particular database management system, you can communicate it. If you want to access some information to this particular database, you can do from this particular database management system. Clear? So finally, what I'm trying to tell you guys, database is a server which is installed at server side, and the database, it could be stored data. But if you want to communicating that particular database, it is not possible in a direct way from the client side. There we should install a software. The software name is, it's a database management system. Clear? Yep. Yeah. So usually there are different database servers are there. Okay. For each database server, their unique supported database we have it. For example, if you're using the Oracle database, then for communicating to the Oracle database, you have the Oracle database management system, DBMS. Okay. For example, if you're using the MySQL, so for communicating with the MySQL server, MySQL database, then we have the MySQL workbench, MySQL database management system. For each and every unique database having their respective of the database management system, it have it. Okay. And for example, IBM DB2. If this particular IBM DB2, I have a database in my client side, then if you want to interact with from the client, there we should install the DB2 server, DB2 database management system. For example, MS SQL, Microsoft SQL. Okay, for to communicating with the SQL Server, then we should have the DBMS, MS SQL Management Database Management Studio. See, guys, this is the database which is available in a server side. This is the database management system which is available in a client side. Here, this is the storage device. These are all storage devices, but these are all the applications. These are all the applications. With these particular applications, we can communicating with this particular database servers. Clear? Yep. But one thing you should understand, if you want to communicating to this particular databases from this particular database management system, you should have the language. The language is SQL language. Structured, what it is? What it is, guys?
Query language.
Structured is structured query language. This is the language will almost same in any database, almost same. 98% the syntaxes will be same for any database. For example, if you're using the Oracle, you don't worry about it. If you're using the Oracle, if you know the SQL, then 100% we can use it. There is a minimal syntaxes difference is there for database to databases, okay? But the SQL database, the SQL language, it could be 98% similar for the all database servers, okay? So you don't worry. For example, I want to use the MySQL, sir. I don't know about MySQL. Don't worry. If you know the SQL, then you can habituate MySQL in 1 hour. It doesn't matter for at all. If you know the SQL, but you don't know about IBM DB2, you're not at all worked in your previous experience. Okay, you're not at all worked till now. That particular situation, the SQL, whatever SQL knowledge we have it, that it help you. It doesn't matter at all. Okay. See, if we have a knowledge on if you have a knowledge in SQL, okay, you can able to interact with multiple databases, which means that you know any database. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which database servers we are using it. If you know the SQL, then you can interact with any database. But only minimal syntax difference is there that could be negligible. Don't worry about it. Clear? Is it clear? Is this clear or any question is there regarding
Sir.
about this one? Hmm? Yeah,
Yes, sir. It is clear, sir.
it's clear, right? Yeah. So this is the databases. Basically, these are the whatever I'm talking as of now. These all are the relational databases. These are all relational databases. Actually, we have other databases are there. It could be like hierarchical database and network databases and entity databases, okay, and object oriented databases. Different kind of databases we have it. But thing is that we are not using that all databases at this scenarios, okay. I mean, present generation, present job market, we are not using that all databases. We are using only relational databases, guys. Okay, so what is database? What is relational databases? So relational databases means the databases, it could be stored the data in a tabular format. For example, this is my one database. Okay, so this database which could be stored in one table. Okay, in the same databases, maybe I stored one more table actually. See here, this table, it might have the relationship with this particular table too. Okay, maybe I have the table 3, I have the table 4. Maybe this table 2, it might have the relationship with the table 3. Maybe the table 4, it might have the relationship with table 1. Meanwhile, the table 3 also having the relationship with the table 4 or table 3, whatever it is. Clear? So that means the database is here, the data, it could be stored in a tabular format. That means rows and columns. But moreover, each and every table, it could be have some kind of relationship. Okay, this relationship we can create with help of the primary keys or foreign keys constraints. Okay, so in a databases you have the multiple tables are there. Each table it could be stored in the format of rows and columns, but in a single database you might have to store in a multiple tables, right? So here each and every table it might have the relation, it might not have the relationship. Okay, but the data it could be stored in a tabular format. The data it could be stored in a rows and columns wise. And moreover, if you want to be link the relationship between the two tables with help of the foreign key, we will do it. We will do it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, fine. So fine. I already told you, right? We have the different database servers are there. For our course, you may use the MySQL. It's up to you, or you may use the Oracle. You may use the MS SQL. I'm using the MySQL. It's up to your choice. If you are already installed the Oracle in your computer, if you are already installed the MySQL, you don't worry. You just go and use those particular servers itself. Okay, but almost similar, guys. It doesn't matter whatever the database which is. We need to go for understand the SQL. If we have the knowledge on SQL, we can able to communicating with the MySQL servers. We can able to communicating with Oracle servers. We can able to communicating with MS SQL servers. Any database servers we can able to communicate it. But thing is that this particular database management system or SQL, internally we have the 2 or 3 type of languages are there. What are those? DDL, DML, data definition language, data manipulation language. Any one of it? TCL, DCL, DQL. TCL, DQL. There are totally 5 languages in a SQL language itself, which is segregating or which is this the same SQL. It will be separated or it can be segregating into, or it can be divided into 5 types. It's not 5 types actually, 5 separations. The SQL queries are deviated or separated with 5 languages. One is the DDL, one is DML, one is DCL, and the fourth one is TCL and DQL. Clear? Yes or no? That means the SQL, the database operations, we can, the database operation with help of this particular 5 languages, we can able to do it. So when you combine this all 5 languages, then that could be a SQL. That could be a SQL. For example, let's coming with the DDL. What is DDL, guys? Data definition,
Defining language. Defining,
language, define language, whatever it is. Okay, which means, for example, in a database, if you want to create the database, we can create with help of the DDL command only. Okay, and for example, if you want to create the table in a database, if you want to create the table, then DDL will help you. For example, I want to remove this particular table. You created, right? Now I want to delete it. So the delete, we can say that it's a drop. In a table, we have some information. That whole information I want to remove one time, then we can say that it's a truncate. Okay. For example, I just want to be alter. For example, I created the table, but I want to add one more column, or I want to be modify the data type of the one specific column. Okay, if you want to be work with on a column or a structure of the database, then we can use the alter. So like this, we have some kind of commands or operations we can performing on the databases in object level. Okay, these are all objects. Even database is also an object. In a database, table is also one object, and views, procedures, different kind of things we have it, that all are objects. So when you want to be work with object level, then DDL will help you. The DDL commands will help you create, drop, truncate. Okay, these are all DDL commands. And one more thing, rename also. So if you want to be modify the name of it, already you created the one name for one particular table. I want to rename that particular table. So that is also, it's a data definition, language, syntax. Alter is also, alter means what? You already created one table with the 4 number of columns, but if you want to add the one more column after you created, not by creating, after you created sometime, maybe you require one more column, you want to change the structure of that particular table, then we can go with the alter. Already the table which is created and which having some information, but I want to remove all data instead of the table. I want to remove entire data. Then we can use the truncate. I want to remove the entire table. I want to remove the entire database. Then we can go with the drop. If you want to create the table or if you want to create the database, then we can use the create operation. So these are the operations we can performing with help of the DDL. With help of the DDL. Okay. Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Now let's go for understanding the DML. What is DML, guys?
Manipulating
Data?
language.
Yeah, manipulation language. Manipulation language. So this is the DML which is involved when we want to work with data. Work on data in a table, in a database. Okay, previously you directly work with the tables or databases, that particular situation DDL. But we have a database. Within that particular database, we have a data, right? So if you want to work with, if you want to do some kind of operations on the data, then we can use the DML commands. For example, you have a database and you have a table. Okay, you have some table. You want to insert the data into this particular table. You want to insert the data into the table, then we can use the DML command, that is insert operation. Update. Update means what, guys? Update means already table which is having the some 5 rows are there. I want to be add one more column, one more row, or else already some row I want to be modified. Then we can use the update. Or else if you want to remove this particular data, if you want to remove the entire data, if you want to remove some specific data, then we can use the delete operation. So this is the DML operations. Insert, update, delete, or the DML operations. It can be used for to manipulating the database. DDL is the commands, or DDL commands. It can help you to defining the database or to modifying the database structure. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is there any questions? Tell me, is there any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No? No. Now we have the, okay, we have the one more language, that is DCL. DCL means data control language. Data control language. So when the data control language, the data control language, grant, if you want to grant means what? Giving the permissions. For example, this is my database. Okay, this database, they are working on the developer 1, developer 2, and developer 3. Okay, but this developer 1, he could not have the permissions to interact with the database. This developer 2, it doesn't have the permission to interact with the database too. In the meanwhile, the developer 3 also doesn't have the permission initially. So here the database admins are there. Database admins are there. These are the admins. They will give the permissions to this particular developer to interact with this particular database. So this developer can interact with this particular database. Meanwhile, the same database admin, maybe he was giving the permission to the developer 2 also, so that he can interact. Meanwhile, developer 3 also. After some time, his work is done. Developer 1 work is done. Okay, then I want to remove the permissions. After some time, this admin can give the revoke permissions, revoke operation. When he give the revoke operation on this particular developer 2, this developer 2 or developer 1, he could not connect with the database. That means giving the permissions or removing the permissions can done this removing and granting the permissions. Okay, remove in the sense revoke, revoke or grant. These are the two operations can be for specific users, giving the permissions or removing the permission to some specific user to interact with that particular database, that it can be handled by the database admins. You don't worry about it. As a developer, you don't worry about it. Database admins can work with this particular DCL. As a developers, we are not working on it. Okay, but you should know it. Grant and revoke are the two operations. It can be performed by the database admins to giving the permissions to some specific user to interact with some specific database. That's what. Okay, and one more thing is that TCL. What does mean the TCL, guys? TCL means transaction control language. Transaction control language. What is transaction language control? What is transaction control language? See, this is my database. Okay, this is the developer 1. Okay, he does some operations on the database. He updated some information. He updated some information. He updated some information. Actually, this is my original database, guys. This is my original database. This developer 1, he is working on the original database. He tried to update some information on this particular database. Until unless you commit, you can do a lot of operations on the database. If you're not at all committed, the original database, it could not be reflected. Okay, commit is the one operation. If you want to be update whatever the operations you did on the that particular database, so it could be reflected for your original database, or it could be updated automatically, or it could be a commit, it could be updated manually. For that one, we can use the commit thing. For example, you did some kind of operations on this particular database. Because of that one, you're facing some issues. I want to roll back it. Whatever operations I did it, whatever the operation I did on that particular database, because of that one, my database is going to giving some kind of unwanted information, or maybe my database is not working properly. Then what I do, I can apply the rollback operation. When I apply the rollback operation, okay, when I apply the rollback operation, see, whatever the operations you did it as of now, before the commit, after commit, or whatever it is, after commit, last commit, whatever the operations you did it after last commit, so that all operations, it could not perform it. If you not committed, even you can do the 100 operations on the database. If you not committed, it could not affect it. After committed, you did a lot of operation. Because of that one, you're not satisfied for your operations. Then you want to roll back it till whatever your last commit, whatever the operations you did it, that all operations, it won't be considered it. That is exactly the TCL. Okay, storing and restoring will done with help of the TCL only. Storing and restoring operations can done in a TCL. And the last but not least, it could be the DQL. What is mean the DQL? Data query language. So if you want to do some kind of select operations, select operation is the data query language. With help of this particular operation, we can interact with the database, we can do some kind of operations, and we can access the data from that. We can query on the database with help of the data query language. With help of the select only, we can performing some kind of operations for accessing the data from the database. Okay. So is there any questions as of now, whatever I explained? See, as of now, I explained what is data, what is database, what are the databases we have it, what is DBMS, what are the DBMS we have it. If you want to work with the database management system, so a lot of database management systems are there, like hierarchical and network and relational. So we are working with the relational database. So if you want to work with the relational database, you should have a common language, that is SQL. But in SQL also we have the 5 subqueries or sub languages are there, that is DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL. So each and every language having their own purpose in SQL. So that's what we understood as of now. Okay. Tomorrow, what we will do, we will install the database in your local computer, and we should install the database management system in your local computer, and whatever the queries we explain, that we will see practically. Okay. Tomorrow we will start the practical examples on this particular databases. Is there any questions of this particular class?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Satish?
Sir, hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, TCL means rollback to update, sir. I mean, if we got an error while updating in the past, we need to roll back again from the first onwards, or to continue the syntax.
Last commit. So commit, if you did the commit, whatever the changes you did it as of now, it can be committed. It won't modify in future. I mean, it won't roll back it. Once you commit, you won't roll back it. Rollback means restoring the resetting.
Re-updating.
It's not re-updating, man. It's a resetting.
Okay.
Restoring.
Okay.
Please meet your system. I can tell you one more time about this TCL and that commit and you are asking about commit and rollback, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is my table. So this is my existing data. This is my original data or existing data. Okay. So what I did, I query. I added some information 4, 5, 6. This is my last. This is my original data. So I query some information. I query some query. I queried on my database management system. I updated a data. It's a 4, 5, 6. Again, I queried one more. I insert one more data. It's for example 7, 8, 9. Okay. And I could not commit it. What I did here, maybe I inserted the wrong information. I did the rollback. When I did the rollback, this particular data of my last operations, it can be deleted automatically. It won't be affected. For example, I did not roll back. I committed. If I committed, whatever the 2 operations you did on this particular table, it can be updated, or it could not modify it, could not roll back option. Once if you committed, you could not roll back. Okay. Rollback and commit will use it for after you do some kind of changes in your database, whether you want to be commit, whether you want to be rollback, it's a final decision for you. If everything is fine, then you can commit. If anything is not good, if you're not satisfied, then you can roll back it. So whatever the operations you did it, whatever the changes you did it, it won't affect it for your original database. That's what rollback. If you want to affect it, then we can use the commit. That's it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so that's for today's class, guys, and we'll catch up tomorrow for continuation of the some more information or practical examples on this particular database. We'll see this all queries we will see.
Okay, sir.
Bye. Take care.
Hi, sir.
Right.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.